Hello everyone, it is Terry Hartley from Rustic Barn Cards. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Iowa. And today we're going to use Fluffy Squirrel. And you can buy just the stamp set, but it also comes as a bundle with a punch. And you can save 10% by buying the bundle. And I love punches. You have the squirrel and an acorn, punch. So this is a two-step stamping. So you have these two little squirrels here, and then you have these two squirrels. And the punch cuts out the squirrel over here on this side. And then, of course, you have a tree trunk, acorn, a little gift, flower, and you can make, I think you can make your own tree, or I guess you can maybe make that as a fence. Go nuts, it's your birthday. Can't wait to see you again. May you gather happiness. So we're going to use this, and then we're going to use some designer series paper that is from our annual catalog. So in our annual catalog on page 119, the first designer series paper, Country Woods, 12 by 12. And I think this is just a perfect paper to use with the fluffy squirrels because you have all these grain, like wood grain. So I think that is perfect. Fluffy Squirrel is an online exclusive. So just to kind of show you some of this wood grain that you have. Now the other side is also, wood grain, and some not as much as others. So anyway, isn't that pretty? So I just think this was a perfect paper to use for the stamp set. And we're going to be using this designer series paper right here. This is this side of it, and then this is the flip side. So anyway, yeah. All right, so let's get this out of the way, and let's start our card. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. If this is your first time here or you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing by clicking that bell and subscribe. I appreciate it. We're going to start with a crumb cake cardstock, and we're going to start making the card, but then we're going to start making the card, and then I will show you all of the measurements. So if you wanted to recreate this card, that you can. So I'm just going to kind of say the measurements as I go, but I also have them written down, and I will share them with you. So our card base again is crumb cake, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm going to turn it this way, and our card is going to open up like this. And then I have a piece of basic white cardstock. That's going to be our inside layer, and it's 3 3/4 by 5. I am not going to stamp anything in here, but if you wanted to do that, I suggest that you do your stamping first before you adhere your cardstock inside your card, because if you don't like the way that you stamped it, you can always turn it over and use the back side of your card. All right, so we're going to lay this aside, and then I am going to bring in a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and layer some designer series paper on that I've already cut, and this is 5 by 3 3/4. So we're just going to go ahead and you can kind of turn it. It doesn't really matter which way, but you'll find one way that you like better than the other probably. So I'm using my favorite adhesive, but you do not need a lot. It just takes a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up, get it as straight as I can, and try to have about the same amount of crumb cake on the top, the bottom, and the sides showing. And now I'm going to bring in some linen thread. So I'm going to bring in some linen thread. And I am going to wrap it around my cardstock. Now I'm going to be leaving a little extra here. So I'm going to kind of hang on to that. And I'm going to start here because I want this to be part of a bow. So I'm going to start here. And then I am just going to wrap it around. Oh, let's just do 3 times. Don't worry right now when you wrap it around. Just get it wrapped around. And then we can bring these down like we want. Actually, I think I really want it wrapped around 3 times. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and we're going to make a fake bow. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to waste that. So let's just start over. So we don't need that extra. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put it like this. I just decided to change things. Okay. Then I'm going to take a little tape. Just Scotch tape will do it. And this will be my top layer, and I want it kind of low. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape right here. All right, and now I can go ahead and I am going to make a bow, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently, and I think you'll find maybe it's easier. So we're going to wrap it around 3 times. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to grab some scissors. Going to grab some Scotch tape. Okay. And then I can kind of put those together if I want to, just like that. And then I'm going to bring the linen thread back, and we're just going to go under, and then we're going to tie a knot. Then we are going to make our bow. We're going to make another bow, and I'm going to show you because I don't like how those are all twisted together because I wrapped it around all 3 of them. So I am going to just wrap it around the bottom 2. All right, now we're going to tie a bow. And you could have done it just like, all 3 if you wanted, but I think I'm going to like this look a little bit better. And I'm going to hold the middle. I'm going to pull, hold the middle and pull. And then I'm going to give it a tug, just like that. And snip that. All right, and now I'm going to bring back our card base, and we are going to go ahead and we are going to adhere this. And I think I'm going to do just a little bit smaller. And I will trim those later. So we'll trim those little ties later. So I'm just going to add some adhesive. Going to open up the card base and add our designer series paper and a crumb cake layer. Okay. All right, now let's lay that aside. Now let's do some stamping. So I'm going to bring in a scrap of basic white, and I'm going to bring in pecan pie. We're using pecan pie today, early espresso, and memento black. Okay, let's see. Well, looks like I need to grab. I'm going to be using both of the squirrel stamps, but I only took out the first one, so we're going to go ahead and bring that. So I'm going to go ahead, and I like using my grid paper to kind of line up when I mount my stamps. I'm using block D for my squirrels. Now, I often will do the outline first and then stamp the inside. And the outline is always the one that is rough, a little more rough. But for this particular squirrel, I have found, this particular stamp, that it seems to be easier if I do the inside first. It really doesn't matter, so just whatever that you find. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up in pecan pie our squirrel, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp that right here, straight down and straight up. And let me clean that off camera. Okay, and then I am going to come back. I'm going to come back and use our black memento for the outline. So we have stamped the inside with pecan pie, and then I'm going to bring in our memento black to do the outline of our squirrel. Okay, and now I'm going to line it up, and what I'm looking at is the ear and the eye. And you just have to go ahead and decide that you're as close as you can be, straight down and straight up. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to lay him aside. We're going to punch him out using our punch in just a little bit. But now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white. And this is 2.5 by 3 3/4, but I will show you and have the written directions for you in just a few minutes. So what we're going to do is that we're going to stamp tree trunks. So let me grab my tree trunk, and we're going to do that in black. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll put that, oh, I don't know, about right here on the left-hand side. Just like that. And then I'm going to try to make it as even as I can this way, but it doesn't have to be. And we'll go ahead and stamp 2 tree trunks. And then I am going to bring in crumb cake and soft sea foam. And we're going to use the dark crumb cake. And I am just going to go over kind of those lines that are already there. or you could just leave them black. Now I'm going to come back with our light, which says dark. So let me grab the light. That is why it's always good to double check, right? Light crumb cake. Okay, that is what I want. And then we're just going to go ahead and color in our tree trunks with the light. And of course you could do it with the dark. I love our Stampin' Blends because they make anyone look like an expert at coloring. I'm going to use the other end, and I think I like that. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, we'll leave it just like that, and then I'm going to bring in our light soft sea foam, and I'm just going to kind of add, you know, a little bit like grass. Just kind of scribble a little bit underneath. And if you wanted to bring it all the way down, you could, but I'm just going to kind of end like that. All right, now I am going to bring in our other squirrel, and we're going to stamp him on top of the tree trunk on the right. And once again, I am going to stamp the inside first, but we're going to use early espresso. We're going to make a dark squirrel. If you look up the colors of squirrels, there's lots of different colors of squirrels. So we have gray squirrels and brown squirrels and even some that are really, really colorful. All right, so I am just going to go ahead and place him right, and maybe I should have brought him down just a little bit. His ear is going to be off there a little bit, but that is okay. And then I'm going to come back with the black for our outline. So if you make this card, bring your tree trunks down just a little bit more than I have, if you want all the ears to show. And then we're going to go ahead and line him up. Just like that. And I'm going to lay that aside and bring in our scrap because we're going to need the acorn. So let's look at our punch. So our punch is right there for the acorn. So, yeah, so we're going to stamp our acorn about right there in our black ink. So we'll just put it about right there. That should work. And I am going to use the dark crumb cake. For the top of our acorn. And then let's just use the light for down here. And then I'm just going to go over it a couple times to make it a little bit darker. Just like that. Okay, now let's bring in our punch. And we are going to punch our squirrel out first, so we'll get that lined up. Well, I didn't thought we paid attention, but I guess I didn't, did I? But we'll get it figured out. All right, so we'll put this right in here for our acorn. All right, let's go ahead and layer our basic white that we stamped on. We're going to layer that on pumpkin pie. And I think I can go ahead and place the measurements down for you. And I'm going to go ahead and just adhere this basic white. And I hope you can see the measurements okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and layer this. And then we're going to pop this up with dimensionals. And then on here, you still have enough room. You can stamp, May You Gather Happiness. And then you're going to need stylish shapes. And it is the next to the smallest stylish shape that you will use, and cut that out. And I've already stamped May You Gather Happiness. And you could do that. I did it in black. You could do it in early espresso or any color that you wanted. Let's bring our card base back in and finish putting our card together. Don't know what the weather is like where you're at, but here in Iowa, it was a definite fall day today. It was cool and it was rainy. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up as straight as I can. And I'm looking at the sides and the top. Now, you're not going to have as much space up here as you do down here, but I do want to make sure that's straight. So I have to almost put it right in front of my eyes, and looking down doesn't always, I can't always tell if it's straight, but I think this is straight. And now we're going to pop up our squirrel and put him on the other tree trunk. Okay, so he is sitting right there, and we're going to put that little acorn. I think I'm going to use a glue dot for that. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. How many of you have a Take Your Pick tool? I don't know how I could stamp without it. I'm going to put the glue dot, though, on his paw, right where I want the acorn. And then I can, so this little squirrel's given an acorn to his friend. All right, and then it says, May You Gather Happiness. Let's go ahead and pop this up. I'll put 2 dimensionals here. And then we will place that about right here. There we go. I hope you could see the measurements to write down, or you can take a screenshot maybe, or a picture, and then you'll have those measurements. So May You Gather Happiness, and we're going to use the Cajun Craze and the gold dots for our embellishments. And you have small, medium, and large. And I think I will just use the putty end, and I'm going to pick up the smaller one. But of course you could pick up whatever size you wanted. And here is our card today. It looks like maybe, you know what? Let's get a, looks like my little acorn. Let's go ahead and take that off, the glue dot, leave it there, and let's just put a little mini dimensional. Maybe that will. Nope. Well, because I put it on the wrong side. Let's try that again. I want the mini dimensional to be on the right-hand side when the acorn is on the card. And then I still want a glue dot. And since I took that off, we'll come back and we'll make a little, roll it around till it's smaller. And then we're going to put, there we go. We have a glue dot and a mini on the right hand side, and that will keep that acorn down for us. All right, so here is our card using the Fluffy Squirrel stamp set. And here is my sample card. Now, I do want to trim this a little bit. Yeah, I think this needs to be trimmed too. All right, so we have May You Gather Happiness. So here's the cards. What do you think? I hope you like the cards. And I hope that you will give it a try. So it is time for Barn Chats. So Barn Chats I keep at the end of my video and just kind of telling you what's going on at Rustic Barn Cards and sometimes with Stampin' Up. So every Wednesday, and this is week 6. So every Wednesday, if you are a email subscriber of mine, you're going to receive in your inbox, in your email, a free PDF and a video tutorial for a Christmas project. And I always share all of the previous weeks. So don't worry if this is week 6 and you're like, I haven't received the other 5. I'm not an email subscriber, but I'm going to sign up, which you'll find in the link below. That's perfect because you also will have all of the videos and the PDFs for the projects from weeks 1 through 5. Plus, today is Wednesday, so I'll be sending that out this week. If it's after Wednesday and you're watching the replay, go ahead and sign up because then next Wednesday, you will check your email and find a video and a PDF. I have teamed up with 2 other demonstrators to bring you the 12 Weeks of Christmas, absolutely free, but just for my email subscribers. And I've teamed up with Sarah Bullen from Handmade After Dark and Connie Douglas from Great Stamping with Connie. So we take turns doing the videos. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a way for us to thank you for being an email subscriber. Now I'm going to talk about the wonderful promotion from Stampin' Up, the starter kit promotion. We just have 3 days left of this great promotion. So if you've ever thought about joining, being a part of Stampin' Up, this is a great time to do that. And of course, my group is called Rustic Barn Stampers, and I would love to have you part of Rustic Barn Stampers. So we have 2 options. So for $35, you can choose $125 to put in a starter kit. So it's like purchasing a starter kit. And then, and it's free shipping. And then your very next order, you would start saving 20% discount on everything of your orders and no obligation. And you can be a part of Stampin' Up community for 6 months before you need to decide whether you want to stay or whether it's not for you. The second option is you pay $99 and you choose, I think it's $189. So you get more product, you pay a little bit more, but it's the same thing, no obligation, and you can stay through for 6 months, and every order after your purchase of your starter kit, you save 20%. And who doesn't like to save money, and who doesn't like crafting supplies? All right, so reach out to me. Let me know if you're interested. I'd love for you to be part of Rustic Barn Stampers. All right, I think those are the two things that I wanted to share with you during Barn Chats today, and that was the last few days of our starter kit promotion, and how you can receive the 12 weeks of Christmas absolutely free by being an email subscriber. So you'll find links and information in the description. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'm Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards. I normally am live each week on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Central. Take care, and bye for now.